Hey guys, welcome to Chapel today and welcome to The Couch. Hey, I just want to start by saying how good it is to be back on campus with you guys again. Unfortunately though, even though we're back on campus, as you'd be aware, there are still some restrictions in place. And one of those restrictions is that we can't meet together in sub-schools just yet. So until that changes, we'll continue to run Chapel online. But hey, don't fret, it's going to be fun. Alright, so if you missed last fortnight's Chapel video, I announced that our theme in Chapel this term is good news. See, ever since COVID spiked again this year, it seems like just everywhere we look, there's so much bad news and negativity. I mean, even now, having reached the highly anticipated Freedom Day on October 11, whereby freedoms for the vaccinated were reinstated, the bad news just keeps on coming. And I don't know about you, but I'm over it. Like seriously, there is so much good news that we could be focusing on, but it seems to be flying under the radar right now. So that's why in Chapel this term, we're focusing on good news, both in our world and in the Bible. Anyway, without further ado, here is our good news story of the fortnight. Each fortnight in Chapel this term, I'm sharing a good news story of the fortnight. And today's good news story comes from the Australian Reptile Park on the Central Coast. This is Hugo. Hugo's a 70-year-old Galapagos tortoise and in 2019 was looking for love. However, with no female Galapagos tortoises kept at the Australian Reptile Park, Hugo struggled to find it. So with the help of Daniel Rumsey, the head of reptiles at the Australian Reptile Park, Hugo signed up for the dating app Tinder. And believe it or not, he found his perfect match. Meet Estrella. Estrella is a beautiful 21-year-old Galapagos tortoise from Germany. And hang on, if this all happened in 2019, why is it the good news story of this fortnight? Great question. Well, you see, Estrella was due to move over to Australia back in 2019 to be with Hugo. However, the COVID pandemic put a pause on these plans. That was until this fortnight. After 3 months in quarantine, Estrella has arrived at the Australian Reptile Park and finally been able to meet the love of her life, Hugo, in person. No more long distance relationships, no more Zoom calls, just pure bliss. I think though that more excited than Hugo and Estrella is Daniel Rumsey, the bloke who set him up on Tinder. He's got his fingers crossed that this union will result in baby tortoises, which will help with the dwindling number of tortoises in our world. But hey, rather than putting pressure on Hugo and Estrella to have offspring straight away, why don't we take the opportunity to raise a lettuce leaf or a mango or whatever else it is that tortoises enjoy eating and wish the new couple a long and happy life together. Hey, what a story. Now look, if you happen to stumble across a good news story this fortnight, make sure you send it through because that good news story could very well be the good news story of the fortnight at our next chapel. Alright, moving on. I don't know if you've ever watched the TV show Have You Been Paying Attention? But if not, it's a comedy quiz show featuring 5 contestants competing to see who can remember the most about events and news from the past week. Anyway, if you didn't catch Chapel last fortnight, I announced that in Chapel this term, we're going to be playing a version of this. The difference being, all the news stories that our contestants get quizzed on are good news stories. So hey, let's get into it. Here is this fortnight's episode of Have You Been Paying Attention? Good News Edition. Well, welcome to Have You Been Paying Attention? Good News Edition, where we look back at the good news of the last fortnight and ask, have you been paying attention? Today, I'm joined by Hannah from Year 11, Neve from Year 11, Ben from Year 8,
Hello.
and our regulars, Head of Year 8, Mr. Reed, and our Assistant Head of Senior School, none other than Mr. Roxby. How are we, guys?
Fantastic. Feeling good, feeling confident this week.
That's good, Mr. Reed. Hey, it's great to have you all here today. We're gonna begin in just a moment, but before we do, Mr. Reed, I understand that you accomplished something quite significant when you were in school. I wonder if you can tell us what that was.
Yeah, look, it was the spring of 1997, I think. Actually, it was 96 and 97. Carlingford West Public School. It was a school of, probably 100, 150 kids each grade. And in year 6 in 97, I was the handball champion and then defended my title again in 97. So it was a pretty big event for me. I've still got the trophies at home.
Wow.
My opponent was very, very capable and had a really nasty trick shot. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. What was his name, Mr. Reed?
Well, his name, his last name was Yu and his first name was Chuck.
What a name. Well, look, Mr. Reed, it was unfortunate you were unable to bring that winning spirit into Have You Been Paying Attention last fortnight because from memory, you tied last, right?
Oh, I wasn't dead last, was it?
It wasn't, but it was tied last.
Well, Chuck Yu was happy with runner-up at Carlingford West in the handball competition. So if Chuck's happy, I can be happy.
Fair enough. Well, mate, hey, thank you everyone for joining us this fortnight on Have You Been Paying Attention? Good News Edition. Today we've got 10 questions. Each correct answer is worth 10 points, and the person with the most points at the end of the 10 questions is declared this fortnight's winner of Have You Been Paying Attention? Good News Edition. All right, contestants, we ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, question number 1. Good news this fortnight for NRL fans in Queensland, with the NRL announcing what?
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
Darren Lockyer got his voice back.
No, unfortunately not.
Ben,
Yeah, Ben.
Queensland State of Origin team can now pick from any state they want.
That is incorrect. They already do that, actually.
Roxby.
Yes, Mr. Roxby.
They got the 17th team coming in NRL. They were going to call it the Cane Toads, but that's the Mighty Queensland nickname, so they're going with the Dolphins.
I will give that one to Mr. Roxby. The NRL have announced that there will be a 17th NRL club based in Queensland. All right, question number 2. Good news for anyone wishing to work with the Queen, with what job being advertised this fortnight?
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
the Queen's advertised for someone to be employed as her corgi dog cuddler.
I don't think they are. Sorry, Mr. Reid.
Roxby.
Yeah, Mr. Roxby.
She's looking for a host of her new TV series. It's a spin-off of Love Island, Love Palace.
Love Palace. I like the sound of it, and I would watch it. But no, the Queen is not looking for a host of her new TV series, Love Palace.
Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah.
She's looking to get a cleaner.
That is correct. All right, moving on to question number 3. This is William Shatner, who played Captain Kirk in Star Trek, talking with Jeff Bezos, the Amazon founder, earlier this fortnight.
I'm so filled with emotion about what just happened. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary.
What happened for William Shatner?
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
his Amazon parcel arrived early.
That would be a miracle.
Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah.
He had one of Mr. Reid's brownies.
No, what he experienced was good, but not that good.
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
William Shatner ran his hands all over Jeff Bezos' bald head.
He might have Mr. Reid, but that's not the answer I'm looking
Mr.
for.
Roxby.
Mr. Roxby, yes.
I think you find he was literally beamed up by Scotty. He went into space.
He did. William Shatner went to space in Jeff Bezos' rocket ship, making him the oldest person ever at age 90 to go into space. Moving on to question 4, and here's another space-related question. It was announced this fortnight that Australia is partnering with NASA to build a rover to send to the moon as early as 2026. To collect what?
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
Jeff Bezos' wig.
No.
Hannah.
Hannah.
A place without COVID restrictions.
That would be a great idea, but no.
Mr. Roxby.
Mr. Roxby.
They're getting love because everyone keeps saying, I love you to the moon and back. But what they don't realize is that once love gets to the moon, it never comes back. It's a stupid saying.
Mate, I'm sorry. That's incorrect.
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
the rover is going to be collecting lunar soil.
Yes, that is correct. The rover will be collecting lunar soil to extract oxygen from it, forming part of a plan to establish human presence on the moon. Maybe a place where there will be no COVID restrictions, Hannah. Question number 5. This is Francesco de la Cruz from Peru. He just won the World Cup for what?
Neve,
Yeah, Neve.
Squid Games.
Oh, no. Sorry, Neve.
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
he was the 1999 Carlingford West handball champion, and now he's won the Handball World Cup.
No, Mr. Reid. He might have been the 1999 Carlingford West Public School handball champion, but he did not just win the Handball World Cup.
Roxby.
Yeah, Mr. Roxby.
World's worst vest.
He is wearing a terrible looking vest, but no.
He looks like a bull, like one of those bull riding clowns that uses, or one of those Spanish guys that have the red
Matador.
matador. Yeah, he looks like a matador.
Is that your answer, Mr. Reid, or?
Oh no, just some general thoughts.
Mate, this isn't really a space for general thoughts, but I do appreciate your input.
Ben,
Yeah, Ben.
Balloon World Cup.
That is correct, Ben. He won the first ever Balloon World Cup, where competitors attempt to volley a balloon around a room, each trying to prevent the balloon from touching the ground. In fact, I believe it was a trend inspired by TikTok.
There's actually been a bit of a blow up on social media today after the winner was announced because the runner-up is complaining that it wasn't inflated to the right PSI.
Yeah, and isn't the runner-up's name like Chuck Yu or something?
Sounds right. His name actually was Chuck You. You could probably he's probably out there somewhere. He's probably watching this, getting really frustrated. Let me get him on the show next time.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Hey, well, look, moving on. Question 6. It was announced this fortnight that Australia has a new budget airline. What is it called?
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
tell him you're dreaming.
Unfortunately not. Sorry, mate.
Neve.
Yeah, Neve.
Bonza Airlines.
That is correct. All right, question number 7. Good news for Apple fanatics this fortnight, with Apple announcing that they will be releasing 2 new MacBook Pro models, a new generation of AirPods, a $6 a month music subscription, and what else?
Neve.
Yeah, Neve.
They're re-releasing the iPhone 4.
Oh, sorry, Neve, that is incorrect. However, I think Mr. Reid rocks an iPhone 4, don't you, mate?
Look, the iPhone 4 is a little bit basic. This is, I'm pretty sure, the 5S. S
Wow.
cream. So,
Upgrades.
yep.
Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah.
Jeff Bezos's wig.
No, they are not releasing that.
Mr. Roxby,
Yeah, Mr. Roxby.
a whole bunch of accessories that cost more than the MacBook Pro itself.
Their accessories are incredibly expensive, but not the answer I'm looking for.
Ben,
Yeah, Ben.
or a whole bunch of accessories you're just going to lose in about a week.
Sorry, that is incorrect.
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
AirPods that students can actually hide behind their hair, unlike the ones they currently think they can hide.
Oh, Mr. Reid. I believe that there would be a big market there, but that is not what Apple are releasing.
Mr. Roxby,
Yeah, Mr. Roxby.
they're actually releasing this like chamois style towel that can properly wipe all the Apple surfaces clear, and so you don't get smudge marks all over it.
It's correct term. I'm going to just jump on that, and it's actually an Apple cloth.
Yeah, look, Mr. Reid, I'm gonna give the points to Mr. Roxby there, mate. It is called an Apple cloth, but he did get it right. Apple are releasing a cloth that is said to be able to clean any Apple display.
Didn't I technically get that right? You're just going to lose it in a week.
You know what, Ben? We'll give you the points too, mate. Moving on to question 8. An Australian woman, Chloe McArdle, broke a world record this week, having now done what 44 times?
Ben,
Yeah, Ben.
trying to break lockdown rules.
No, sorry, mate.
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
she had her 44th AstraZeneca shot.
No, she did not.
Mr. Roxby,
Yeah, Mr. Roxby.
she's swum the English Channel 44 times. She kept leaving her Apple cloth on the other side.
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Roxby. Chloe McArdle swam the English Channel for the 44th time this fortnight. Not sure about the Apple cloth, though. Moving on to question number 9. The Queensland Premier has announced this fortnight that what will be open for Christmas?
Mr. Reid,
Yeah, Mr. Reid.
a shopping centre that does not play Mariah Carey or Michael Bublé at Christmas.
Mr. Reid, I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need, and it is that. However, unfortunately, the Queensland Premier has not promised that for this year. What has the Queensland Premier promised?
Neve.
Yeah, Neve.
Borders opening in time for Christmas.
That is correct. The Queensland state border will be open for Christmas, which is great news for anyone that has family living in Queensland. And finally, question number 10. This was New South Wales Premier Dominic Perrottet speaking earlier this fortnight.
But if anyone's got a second-hand minivan they want to sell, please contact my office.
Why is the Premier wanting a second-hand minivan?
Ben,
Yeah, Ben.
he wants to sneak out of the state.
He might be, but that is not why he's wanting a second-hand minivan.
Mr. Reid,
Mr. Reid.
he's got a side hustle as a used car salesman.
No.
Mr. Roxby,
Yeah, Mr. Roxby.
along with Shaggy and Scooby, he's reviving the Mystery Machine.
Ooh, he is not reviving the Mystery Machine. No.
Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah.
Storage for all of his little Apple cloths.
I like that one, Hannah, but that is not why the Premier is wanting a second-hand minivan.
Neve.
Yeah, Neve.
He's having his 7th child.
That is correct, Neve. Premier Dominic Perrottet has announced that he and his wife are expecting their 7th child. Well, hey, that brings an end to Have You Been Paying Attention? Good News edition for this fortnight. Let's check out the final leaderboard. Our winner this fortnight is Mr. Roxby on 40 points, followed closely by Neve on 30, Ben on 20, Mr. Reid and Hannah on 10 points, and then Chuck Yu coming in last on 0 points. Hey, Mr. Roxby, congratulations, mate. Well played. And congratulations to you, Mr. Reid. You've gone from tying last to tying second last this week, beating Chuck Yu. So massive achievement. Congratulations, mate. And thank you to all of our contestants. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. We're going to head back to the couch. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to shift our focus now to some good news found in the Bible. And for this, we'll be hearing from a few different staff members who for a couple of minutes each will be sharing something from the Bible that has encouraged them and inspired them in their lives. So hey, here's our Deputy Principal, Mrs. Pond.
There are many times in our lives when we don't know what to do and we need help and direction. When I was a little girl, my mum taught me a verse from the Bible, and it has remained as one of my favourite verses. Proverbs 3, 5 and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path." Well, my mum encouraged me to memorise this verse, and it's really been invaluable help to me throughout my whole life. But what do these verses in Proverbs 5 and 6 really mean? Well, I believe that they mean that we are to trust in God with all of our heart. We are not to depend on ourselves or not to think that we know everything. We need to include God in everything we do because he will keep us on the right path and on the right track. But why should we trust in God? Well, God knows everything we are going through, everything that is happening at the moment, everything that will happen in the future. He knows the best way to handle every situation so that we can get the best possible outcome. We don't always know what lies ahead of us, but God does, and he is happy to show us the best way. The verse talks about leaning not on our own understanding. But what does it mean to lean on God? What does it mean to lean on the Lord? Well, think about a time that you've leant on a wall and you've been standing there chatting to a friend. You are resting on that wall and it's supporting you. You are relying on that wall to hold your body up so that you don't fall over. It's the same with God. Leaning on him means that you can rest and rely on him. He is there to support you. God gives us strength and he gives us his power, and if we let him carry us each day, we have his strength. The verse starts with the word trust. How do you actually develop trust in God? Well, faith and trust in God really come from spending time reading the Bible and getting to know him. This helps us find out more about who Jesus is and what he's done for us. It's sort of like getting to know one of your friends. The more time you spend with them, the more you know them. And the more you know them, the more you start to trust them. We also develop trust in God by seeing how he works in our lives and by giving him trust in little things, and then over time we can see that he is faithful and we can trust him in bigger things. Listening to God and listening to how he's worked in other people's lives also helps us to develop trust in him. So, when you don't understand what's going on in the world around you or how to solve your problems, trust in the Lord with all your heart. When you are feeling overwhelmed or stressed out, just remind yourself to trust in the Lord with all your heart. When you don't know which way to turn or you don't know what decision to make, lean on the Lord. Don't trust on your own understanding. Ask him for help. He can solve our issues and show us the best way to go because he is wise and knows everything.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying being back at school after lockdown. I wanted to share a couple of things with you today about good news in the Bible. It's really easy sometimes to become discouraged and upset and down about things that are going on in the world, and for good reason. There are so many unknowns and changing things that are happening around us, and no matter how resilient or positive you think you are, everyone has times when they don't feel fantastic and don't feel really positive, and that's pretty normal and that's okay. But I wanted to share a Bible verse with you and give you a little bit of a challenge if you're one of those people that does feel down from time to time. The Bible verse is John 14, verse 27. It says, "I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart, and the peace I give you is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid." If you are finding yourself at all troubled or afraid, remember that God has literally promised us this peace, and I want to challenge you at the start of every day to wake up and pray and ask God to give you that peace. Have a great week.
Hi guys, this is Mrs. Cowley, and I have been asked to share one of my favourite verses of the Bible that shows good news. And one of the reasons that I absolutely love this verse is because I'm someone that over the years has had quite a bit of anxiety, and especially when I go to sleep at night, I sometimes find that my mind starts to race. And so this particular verse is really lovely because it just shows me how much God is there to protect me, and even when I'm sleeping at night, he doesn't take his eyes off me. And this verse comes from Job. It's chapter 11 verse 18 to 19, and it says, "You will have courage because you will have hope. You will be protected and you'll rest in safety. You will lie down unafraid, and many will look to you for help." So what I do actually love to do is when I get verses that mean something to me, I love to write them down in a journal, and that way I can just refer back to that journal whenever I need a little bit of encouragement, or if I need to encourage somebody else. I've got a whole stack of beautiful scriptures there that I can refer to, and I would encourage you that if you're ever reading through the Bible, that you might take some time just to save some of your favourite verses, so when you do feel troubled, or you do feel that you are all alone, or that you're going through something that is just a little bit too big for you, that you can refer back to some verses from the Bible yourself, and be encouraged by God, knowing that he will never leave you nor forsake you, and that he has provided these words to bring you comfort. I hope that helps you today, and I hope that you would take the time to kind of discover some of those beautiful passages in the Bible for yourselves.
Hey, how good was that? That actually brings an end to chapel for today. But before we wrap up, I really just want to emphasize something that Mrs. Cowley has said. Mrs. Cowley read Job chapter 11, where God tells us not to be afraid. Now, you know as well as I do that there's so much crazy stuff happening in our world right now, but the Bible says that we don't have to be afraid. None of what's going on has caught God by surprise. He's got this, and I just think that that's such good news. Anyway, hey, I'm going to pray, and I invite you to join me. God, thank you for being good. Thank you that no matter what goes on around us in our world, that you are still good, that you are always good. And I pray that this term we can come to know your goodness that little bit more. God, thank you that we're back on campus again together. And I just pray that you can help us to finish this term well. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey guys, well that's it for chapel today. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day.